Welcome to episode 1 of the VONDERLIFE, where I show you how I went from this cheap $100 HARO F3 that I bought and transformed into eventually a 2021 HARO Lineage Master. So I started with the F3. I got it, like I said, for $100 off of Facebook Marketplace. It was in rough shape and still had reflectors in it. I took the whole thing apart, got it all broken down to the frame, pieces everywhere. And then I sanded the frame and painted it. And then I got myself a set of Lineage knee saver bars in black and a 1988 HARO Master sticker set in black. And I put the thing back together. It came out looking great. However, I don't know what year that HARO F3 was, but this was the time when they built these things way overbuilt, way heavy. It was not really that fun to ride. It looked cool. I did do tricks on it, but it was not fun to ride. So 6 to 8 months later, I found a HARO shredder. I think it was a 2019 HARO shredder that was in really good shape for a really good deal. Threw the knee saver bars on it, and then I was good to go for riding. After about another 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I finally got the itch enough to spend the money and get the good HARO 2021 Lineage Master frame set and a set of HP 36 Lineage wheels from HARO as well. And what you'll see next, and I'll talk you through it, is the build process of when I got everything. So I started off by removing the decal set from the 2021. The graphics, in my opinion, just aren't cool at all. This was kind of a pain in the butt. It took a little while. I've got fat fingers and no fingernails, so I had to get the razor blade out to get everything started. And then it obviously left a good residue all over everything. So once I got the stickers off, the next thing to do was to clean it with the Goo Gone. So I did that, got all the residue cleaned off, and then I began the process of putting it back together. Now, you can see here, I used the old school method because I didn't have a bearing press of a hammer and some wood, being very careful to evenly press the bearings in on both sides. I had to get a couple pieces of wood to facilitate this with the axle in it, or the spindle. I greased the inside of the bottom bracket before I did all this as well. Like I said, this is old school method. You got to be really careful doing this, but it can be done. So after that, I got it up on the stand. The Lineage Master has the integral gyro mounts. So using some Loctite, I got those screwed in and put into place. Next was installing the fork with the integrated headset. You can see there that I took a little bit of trial and error getting the spacing right. I wanted as much brake travel as I can get with the gyro, while still having all the clamp space I need for the stem. And then tightening everything up. All right, next, throwing on the seat post. Now I put it upright like this so that I could see the alignment of the chain from the sprocket to the rear sprocket on the wheel, and then got everything lined up. What I found out with this crankset that I bought, it's a jet crankset that I actually got off of Amazon from, I think, I forget the name of the bike shop. Anyway, both of these crank arms had a notch on it for a sprocket. And so I end up having the crank arms on backwards. But it's not causing any problems, so I'm going to leave them that way. But what it meant is when I cranked the pedals on, I had to crank them on the opposite way that you normally do when you install the pedals. So there you can see, getting the pedals on, I've got the wheels on, getting everything lined up and ready to go. Next was the brakes. I didn't film the front brake. The front brake's pretty straightforward, and I was filming the rear brake, but I went a little bit different route with the cable, how I mounted the cable on here. So at a certain point, I just stopped filming because it was going to take a while for me to figure out how to make this work the way I wanted to. And I'll talk about that at the end when we walk over the complete bike after it's finished. But yeah, it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to run that cable for the most efficient brake line routing. After that, you can see the pegs are on there, and I started installing the stickers. Again, I got the 88 Team Master sticker pack in black because all my parts were in black, and it works well with the chrome, even though I'm not painting to have an actual 88 Master sticker or frame set look. Alright, here's my finished product. The 2021 HARO Lineage Master Lineage knee saver bars. I've got some Odyssey levers. I don't know even what the model is anymore. But I've got the Odyssey gyro. The Lineage frame has the integral gyro mounts and the head tube. Integrated headset, also by Odyssey. That's pretty standard on all the bikes these days. Front U-brakes are off of the HARO shredder that I had, as well as the axle pegs. We've got some Lineage HP F36s by HARO. These are recreations of the Peregrine HP 48s from back in the day. You saw during the build montage that I removed the 2021 stickers, graphics, because they were terrible in my opinion. And so I got a set of aftermarket 1988 Master sticker set off of eBay. The three-piece cranks are chromoly tubular by a company called Jet. Salt 25 tooth chainring. The rear U-brake, which I'll show you that setup here in a minute, is just some Tektros that were off the original HARO F3 that I started this journey with a couple years ago. Again, HP 36s. regular seat post and clamp off of the shredder as well. The pedals are actually off of my mountain bike because I didn't have a pedal wrench to get the pedals off of the F3, so I just took my mountain bike pedals and put them on here. So this is the setup. The HARO stem is from the shredder as well. The seat is actually cha-ching, a specialized mountain bike seat that I got at the local bike shop, just because all of the seats on BMX bikes nowadays are short and fat. I don't like that because I'm from the old school. Alright, brakes. This is kind of where I have a problem with the new school style. And I'll cut a picture in here. In the old days, the HAROs used to have the chainstay mounted 990s like this. However, the cable went through the bottom of the seat tube on the frame, and then you had your little bridge cable and setup back there, like shown here in this old picture of an old HARO Sport. My guess is, being a mechanical engineer, and I've been out of this for a long time, but my guess is they went to the mount up here with the extended double cable bridge for manufacturing reasons. It's cheaper to put this little doodad on here than it is to actually weld a threaded tube into the bottom of the seat stay. There are several problems that come along with this, meaning that now your cable angle is not actually in line with the way your brakes move when you operate them. That reduces the amount of force from the cables. And you know what, I'll probably just do a whole separate video on the physics of this. But what I had seen from the front cables that they've been using for quite a while with the V-brake kind of setup used on the U-brakes, the physics of it is that you actually get double the pulling power from the cable to the brake pads because you're not splitting the tension of that cable in half. You have the same amount of tension on each arm, whereas if you split those cables up into two, that single amount of tension that's in the brake cable is now divided in between the two arms. So I went with this same kind of setup in the back. It was a little tricky to get right. But what I've got is two flexible cable noodle extension things that go for V-brakes, but they're flexible at the end of my gyro cable. And I've got that looped around so where it doesn't interfere with the cranks, but allows me to get that single pulling power. The other problem here, if you look at the picture on the old HARO Sport, is where they have the cable mounts. So the cable mounts on the HARO Sport were farther down. This one is too far up, and when you try to route the cable through there before the split, it puts too much of a bind on the cable. So the best bet was just to let the cable run freely down and just anchor it down here at the bottom, and that keeps it out of the way of everything, but also gives the cable the natural routing that it wants without a whole lot of extra friction from being forced into a certain position. So that's my setup. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think? Pretty smooth, huh?